Thousands of years ago, on a spring morning, the residents who lived in the upper part of the city of Troy, they looked at the horizon, the biggest fleet they had ever seen. The great fleet with the ships of the Achaeans came to destroy the sacred city of Ilion. For those who have not read the Iliad, let us explain some names used in it. The city was called Ilion and is more commonly known as Troy. The city was called Ilion in honor of its founder Ilio. The city of Ilion was founded by Ilio. And when it is said that it was founded, it means that there was no older residence in that place. Ilio is an Albanian name, which is still used today. Ili. In English, the star. Suffix on in the Albanian language gives the sense of continuity in time. As the star shines in infinity, so even the city of Ilio would shine forever. Ilion, the star that will shine forever. But even the word Troy is an Albanian word, which has the meaning of the word earth, land. In Albanian we say in our Troy, it has meaning. In our lands, in our country. It means that we live in our lands. This means that even the word Trojan, used to identify those who fought to protect their lands, their property, their families. But who were the participants of this war that would continue for almost 10 years? Homer calls them those who come from the sea with the fleet, biggest ever. Achaeans, Argives, and Danaans. The name Greek is not mentioned in the Iliad. And not only in the Iliad, but also in all of them. The works of authors such as Euripides, Sophocles, and Aeschylus does not exist as a Greek name. It is not known where this name comes from. Historians of the 19th century and those who defended the city of Ilion. They were called Dardane, Troyan, as well as their allies Thracians, Lycians, etc. Where did these events take place, and can there be any possibility to identify the participants of this war with any people today? In this video we will show who are the true descendants to those who take part in the War of Troy. The Troy War was an event extremely important for antiquity. Many works have been written for thousands of years. But she is presented not alone with the art of writing, but also with visual art, such as the various sculptures or the numerous bas-reliefs. We also find it in the art of drawing, among the various ceramic vases. Precisely, the works of visual art are very important, because in works written over thousands of years, intentional or unintentional changes may have been made. Spelling mistakes or changes in the form of words. Written documents are difficult to understand if they are original or altered works. For thousands of years, they have passed into different hands, and we are not able to prove their authenticity. Whereas in visual art, these things are impossible. A sculpture or bas-relief is impossible to modify, because it breaks, is irreparably damaged. This makes it clear that they are original works of ancient artists. An antique vase is just the way they are, made the ancient artists, the ancient artisans. The various sculptures found are just as their ancient authors did. Visual art constitutes the clearest, irrefutable evidence, and gives us important elements to understand who they were who took part in this historical event, as well as for those who reflected these events in written art and visual art. And the very fact that these works of antiquity are kept in the best museums of the world is an important factor that shows that these works reflect in a real way facts or characters from antiquity. And from these works we see people's clothing in ancient times and look at the similarities. An important element is that men, old ones, are presented with pjese or kailaf or kalesh. Pjese or kailaf are important elements of Albanian national clothing for men. They identify clearly undeniable Albanian dress, which we find in many works of antiquity. Another important element is the Albanian fustanella. Even fustanella is one of the important elements of Albanian national clothing for men, which clearly and indisputably identifies the Albanians. Even women's clothing in ancient times is just like the popular, traditional clothes of Albanian women, which are still used today. And from these works we see people's clothing in ancient times and look at the similarities. Very accurate with today's popular clothes in Albania. What stands out is the fact that they have been preserved in the form of how they were used in ancient times. The similarity of the ancient figures with the inhabitants. Today's Albania is clear. Folk clothing not only preserves its characteristics of ancient clothing, but at the same time show the wealth and variety of clothing. This shows that the inhabitants of that time lived in one very rich country with rich cities, and at the same time they show the cultural wealth. Although many works of art have been destroyed or lost, even in those that have remained, we find many important elements which make it possible for us to identify the descendants of those presented in these works. Precisely by looking at these old works of art, we understand what their clothes were like of the ancient inhabitants, and we clearly identify these ancient inhabitants. Even today's clothes show not only that they have accurately preserved elements of antiquity, but at the same time, they have their own symbolic meaning. For example, pustanella, if we look carefully, is a symbolic meaning of the bronze chitons of the fighting men in the Trojan War. That Albania has been a rich country with many ancient cities becomes clear from the existence of many ancient cities, which are located in Albanian lands. For example, only in the space from Vlora to Oricum, we have many old cities such as Orikomi, Ducati, Pjese. Canina, Old Vlora, Alona, and Triporti in Zvernek. And these cities are still inhabited today. So as it seems from all this, it comes out that the participants of the war that Troy were the ancestors of today's Albanians. That the War of Troy was a war between Albanians. And it is written and reflected in forms different art from the Albanians. This means that all these are works created by the Albanians and belong to the historical heritage, cultural and spiritual of the Albanian people. Thank you for watching this video.